What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Download Podcast, episode 21. We're finally back to bring you a new episode. This week, we're just going to kind of discuss what's going on in our lives and then what we've been playing, and a topic that Adrian brought to our attention about the toggle performance, with the new consoles and gaming in general. And we'll get into that as we go. So, guys, how y'all been?
Good, really good. It's been all right. So far, so good.
Work's been good.
Yeah, it's been not too bad. So making the best of the pandemic so far.
Dave?
Yeah, man. Just been plugging away. I mean, nothing all that interesting to report, right? Just family life being family life, kids being kids, getting, mixed up in stuff. The school starting, right? And my son being in marching band. It's a first, right? He's never really been a whole active in a whole lot of stuff. So him being active in band, and he's been really digging it and really getting involved and having a lot of fun with it. It's been good for him. He's been really getting out there and getting out of his shell and really showing people who he is. And it's been awesome to see. Right? It's been just that, that's the best thing with kids is really seeing that personal growth with them. Right? It's like you can push them all day long, and yeah, you might get a little bit out of them. Right? They might start coming out of it after you kind of force them into things, but when they find those things that just gels with them, right, and they just take off without you having to give them a nudge whatsoever, it's awesome feeling, man. It really is.
Yeah, that's a fun time in life right there, man, where he's at.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, Edward's still young enough that he's peeking out the window about what he wants to do to,
Mm-hmm.
But no, honestly, everything's been pretty good. I mean, my dad's health is good. Hopefully going to have him on a couple episodes of the podcast. We're supposed to be doing some scary videos about some old stuff, as we grew up and he grew up with, since it's Halloween month, October.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, work's been good. Had some changes going on there. Took on some new responsibilities, so it's been quite busy. Edward has been doing really well in school. He just got 95 on one of his math tests, so he was very happy about that. His teacher was very ecstatic because it's like getting to see what Edward's good at has been a really good treat for her and us. And Anne has been busy with finishing up her last 2 semesters of college and doing community stuff. We just had a neighbors night out on Tuesday, just to kind of meet the community, let them know what they're planning to do, because they've started like a super neighborhood and trying to revitalize the area, bring in some parks, bring in some businesses, go around, actually make better street lights, reform the school to make it better for the students, sidewalks so people can actually walk or ride their bikes instead of being in the middle of the street and almost getting run over by, kids with their souped up cars in our neighborhood. But yeah, everything's been good. I mean, I just trying to find the time to edit and put a video together, and has been the hardest, and trying to get everybody together. It's like we had this like month and a half long break. We just haven't gotten back together to try to actually do an episode.
Yeah, man. Once you get out of the rhythm, right? Once you get out of the rhythm of knowing, hey, we're gonna do this every week, right? It just you start falling into older habits of, okay, I'm just gonna sit down and play my games, or I'm just gonna go into my little hidey hole and do whatever I'm gonna do. And so yeah, it's just life, right? It comes at you in waves.
It's like in the back of your head, you're like, you need to do this. You need to get back on that camera and start doing something. Or it's just going to be like every other project in your life you never did complete.
Yeah, that's it.
But
That's all right.
So what have you guys been playing lately? Adrian?
I'll go for it.
All right, go for it.
Lots of betas. Last weekend, hit the Halo flight is what they like to call it. Pretty hard. I hit that pretty hard last weekend. That one was really fun. I'm very much looking forward to that game. I feel like Halo is back. I hope that turns out to be true. I know the multiplayer is going to be free, so hopefully that'll get some fresh blood in there. Although, I'm conflicted about that because I don't want to get worked over by 19-year-olds, 15, 19-year-olds, but the more the merrier. But it was a lot of fun, man. It was a lot of fun. The few maps that they had out there, the gameplay, it seems different because I did kind of between the scheduled flights, I went back and played a little bit of Halo 5, and you can definitely tell the difference. You can definitely see the difference in not just visually, but the gameplay. And the tweaks that they've made have been really fun, man. It was really fun. And so just playing that quite a bit for last weekend. I hadn't played a whole lot of like single player games. I hadn't had a whole lot of time to play anything kind of solo. I've been nibbling at the edges of Nier Automata. That's on the Game Pass. So I don't know if I'm going to play too much more of it. I haven't been able to get into it that deep. And this week it's going to be the Battlefield beta, and so that's probably what I'll jump into immediately after this and get some time on that one. So far, that one has been a little bit hit or miss. I haven't enjoyed it right off the bat as much as Halo, but I think a big element of that was I most of the time that I played Halo, I was playing with a friend of mine as well. So I think that helps out a lot with these multiplayer games, especially, this is dad level podcast. So, we're older guys, we got families and stuff. And so the hardcore focus in solo in the room by myself kind of thing, I feel like I don't get as much enjoyment out of, because I'm not as skilled and as twitch as I used to be. And so it does help to have a friend there, with you playing and watching your back, and you guys kind of, shooting shit and things like that. So that adds to the overall experience. So, once we get on there, that'll we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, definitely. David?
I mean, so I told myself, because now I own almost all of the Yakuza series. I think I'm missing 6 at this point. So I was like, all right, I beat Yakuza 0 like last year. It's like, I love that game. It was so much fun. Because I'd never picked up a Yakuza game before until I picked up 0. So like, all right, played through 0, really dug it. So I've been picking up Kiwami, right, and getting into that. But I started playing that. Then the Nintendo Direct came out. And they're like, hey, everybody, look, it's a bunch of Castlevania games from the Advance age. And honestly, I played like the old Castlevania, right? Like the original one back in the day, but I never beat it, right? I just never did. I played a little bit of Simon's Quest, but that game was ridiculous as a kid, and I just, no. So the first actual Castlevania game I played all the way through and beat was Circle of the Moon, right? And I just love that game with collecting the car. I never touched, I didn't even realize Symphony of the Night existed. So that was my first Metroidvania style, Castlevania game. So whenever I saw that come up there, I was like, man, I haven't played that game in forever. I really need to sit down and play it. So I started playing that. And because apparently I have ADD when it comes to video games, Tales of Arise, right, was out. So I've been playing the ever-loving crap out of that. I feel like I'm about halfway through the game at this point. I've hit a pivotal story moment, right? I guess I won't go completely into it, but I've hit one of the bigger story moments at this point. I'm about to transition to the latter half of the game, it feels like, and I've been really digging that, right? Like I've played pretty much every Tales game since Symphonia. I didn't start with Symphonia. I played Vesperia the first, and then I played all through all of them until they released Symphonia on the PS3 with Symphonia 2, and then I got back and played those. But Man, I've been digging Arise. I can't really explain what they've done to change the combat in it, but it feels more engaging.
Mhm.
I guess is the way I can put it. I don't know if it's because the fighting game part of me, I'm tagging in characters to go in and do a hit, and then whenever you weaken down an enemy enough, I'm basically like, again, going back to the old days. All of a sudden, I'm doing dual tech attacks. Right, it's like back in the day with Chrono and Frog and being able to do X slash, and now all of a sudden I've got Law and oh crap, I'm forgetting names. Wow, I can't even think of the mage girl's name, but she busts out and does the thing where she upgrades him and he does the big flashing hit and it explodes, and it happens so fast, but it happens every fight. It just, for whatever reason, that action loop is just stuck with me, and I've been really digging that game. So I've been all over the place, but that's usually the way it is because, kids, right? You just start into one thing, and thank God games nowadays have finally figured out, hey, let's let people save everywhere.
Yes,
instead of
where you
having to
want.
go to some arbitrary point way the hell over here. Hold on, babe, just give me 30 more minutes. I promise there's a save point coming some point. I think there's a boss maybe in like 10 more rooms. I just got to fight through about 80 more guys, and I'll be there. I just don't want to backtrack. I've made it too far and I don't want to redo this. Right? It's like, okay, where am I at? Doesn't matter. Hit menu, save, awesome. Off I go.
Yeah, that's my catchphrase. Anybody who knows me, let me find a save point, because it was like, and it's sad now because I'll say, let me get a save point, and everybody's like, no, Vince, it's auto saves. We need to go. But for me, I've been playing was it Blaster Master 03, trying to finish that. I actually was playing that over the weekend, or the week I was with my dad while he was in the hospital. Really fun. I need to actually sit down and kind of actually really give some good time to it to beat it. But I picked up just recently, Tales of Arise. Of course, I was streaming it. Adrian was coming on there going, look, full-time streamer over here. Where's your headset? Adrian, your mic's
Yeah, man, I I had that in on the background all day long, man. I was just like, Vince is killing it. I was like, yeah, I'll just put that on. I took a nap. I woke up, Vince was still playing. I was like, all right, man, full-time streaming. That's all right.
Yeah, I need to get a headset, but
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I think I put like 19 hours into Arise so far. But I haven't played it since I streamed those 3 times. So, and then I picked up Axiom Verge 2, which I haven't even started to play yet because I know I'm going to have it on my back catalog to play. But I picked up Lost Judgment, the sequel to Judgment. So it's part of the Yakuza series. Basically, you play a
you're a cop or detective, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, you were an ex-lawyer who became a kind of a private eye investigator, and you go around doing these different solving murder mysteries and crimes, but it fits within the Yakuza universe. So you have you're like 3 different styles that you can switch between, and it's really good, fun story. Like I really enjoyed Like a Dragon. It was like my game of the year when that game came out. So when you get to that point, David, it's awesome. It's like just Yakuza series as an RPG. It's amazing. But
no, man, I've been digging it. It's going to be like 6 years until it will be on the PS6 by the time I'm to Like a Dragon at the rate that I'm going right now.
Yeah.
Because like I was telling myself, okay, in October, like I still haven't even beat Resident Evil 2 remake, right? So I was telling myself, okay, like last October, I'd never beat Symphony of the Night, and then they came out with that dual pack that was Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna devote October. I'm gonna beat both these Castlevania games, and I did. So this year, I was like, okay, October, I'm gonna beat the Resident Evil games, and I haven't even touched them yet. I've been too busy playing other crap. So I was even telling the wife, I'm like,
all of them.
Huh?
Which Resident Evil games are you gonna play through?
I mean, I want to at least get through 2, but I've got 2 and I've got 3, right?
Yeah.
The remakes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I need to get through them. at some point. I feel awful because I bought them so long ago. Like I started up 2. I got up to the point where you crawl back out into the main area, which is literally the beginning. Right.
Yeah.
That's right when the game actually opens up and you can start going everywhere, kind of.
Yeah.
And like that was the point that I stopped. I'm like, yeah, I need to come back to this. And then like everything else, I want like squirrels. I just started chasing squirrels everywhere, and I forgot it back there. And now I need to go back and pick it up and blow the dust off and get back to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
I won't play those games, man.
He'll watch me play it, but he won't. He won't play them.
I'm a scaredy cat, man. I want to say I played the demo, and I gave it a shot. I gave it a good shot, and I couldn't even get through the demo, man. I'm a scaredy cat. I don't like it. And then we're in 4K, and things were creaking and cracking, and I have a pretty good sound system in the living room where I was playing, and things are creaking and cracking, and it's running in 4K. I think I played it on. That was when I had my Xbox One X.
Yeah.
And it was, it was running high frame rate in 4K, and I was like, I can't do it, man. So I had to drop it. But what's so funny is I played through the original Resident Evil 2, and I was still pretty a scaredy cat back then. But I powered through it. But nowadays I can't.
Well, go ahead, Dave.
I was gonna say for survival horror though, like whenever it comes out, I will definitely go back through and beat it because I know you guys are all about like Resident Evil and all that, but and I played Resident Evil back in the day, but the first like survival horror game that I sat down and played like all the way through, and I've done it multiple times just because I loved it so much, was Dead Space. And when they went out and they announced that, hey, we're gonna be remaking Dead Space and upgrading and all that stuff, I'm like, are y'all bringing this universe back? Are y'all gonna do it justice? Are you gonna do 1, 2, ignore 3 maybe, and continue on the story and let's see some more of this universe? Because man, I'm down for that. Let's go.
Yeah.
When the thing killed me and then wore my body like a winter coat and started, I was like, yeah, no, this is not for me. This is not for me. It just cuts your head off and then dives into your body and starts.
He's like this. Look at the Isaac Clarke.
No thanks. That's
fashion for the October season. No, man, I need to finish 3 for Dead Space, but I was actually playing with Andrew. I think we got about halfway or like 2/3 of the way through it. We just never had time to finish it. But one of the things about that game that got me into it was because of the fact of it was the closest I got to a Thing game other than the one that came out on the PS2 back in the day, which I enjoyed that game very much. And at the time, it was a sequel to the original movie.
Canon sequel, yes.
Yeah. But funny thing, it was also called The Thing.
The sequel was like Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Or Halloween and Halloween. Yeah. We got 3 of them now. It's like, guys, I get branding is a thing, but could we at least try?
Considering the fact that it was the studio that did that, because Carpenter wanted to kill off Michael Myers in the first one.
He did. Michael dies in 2.
Yes. Well, no, he wanted him to die in the first one too, so that he could do an anthology with Halloween. So every Halloween would be a new thing. By the time he got to do it, he didn't even direct the 3rd one, which I still think is a better movie than. I like Halloween, but I like Season of the West because I don't know Season of the Witch because of the fact of it plays up on the horror elements of of Halloween versus Michael Myers, who's possessed by Sam Hain and going around killing people.
So that now you're taking in the lore from what movie 5 or 6. Originally, it was just Michael's pure evil, right? He's just the evil dude.
Yes, he's pure evil. Yeah,
murdered his sister, all that crap, and he's just insane, psychotic. He can take being stabbed in the eyes and shot multiple times, and finally, whenever he burns and explodes, then he's dead. At least in the Carpenter universe, right? And then somehow he comes back because that's just what slashers do. But
it's not like Jason Voorhees, where he's brought back from with witchcraft and the devil stuff. You know, he's like a demon and possessing the
best,
body of a child.
The best Jason resurrection is still crap. I don't remember which one it is, but when the moron goes and digs him back up because he thinks he's gonna come back again and impales him, and then the lightning strikes that rod, and then the lightning resurrects him like Frankenstein, and he comes out of there and just starts murdering everybody. I was like, yes,
Good job, man.
that awesome.
Yeah.
Jason being reborn like out of a fetus and then just like super growing into Jason. No, I don't need that. give me Frankenstein Jason any day of the week, and I'm down.
Yeah.
Let's do this. But yeah,
Uh,
slashers, man.
so that's a whole other episode of us talking about horror. You know, I don't know if Adrian would want to do that one. He's welcome to. But
Nah, I'm okay. I'll skip it. I don't know. My dad's side of the family is from a small town in the woods, and when I was a kid, those Jason movies were coming out, and my bedroom was right next to a window with no curtain, just looking into the woods, and that's probably the genesis of me not liking this stuff as much.
So my dad has a story he talked about in one of the episodes of the podcast where it's like he's sitting there watching a scary movie like so intently, and his my Uncle Roger comes up to the window and just starts going tap, 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 tap. It scares the shit out of my dad. But oh man, there were so many like great things. But like, you know, keep in mind, I watched horror movies as a kid, like younger than my son, who's 7 now. I mean, there was moments where like I felt like, you know, Jason and Freddy were going to come get me at the age of 3. You know?
Yeah.
But you know, I learned how to get over that. You know,
Sure.
But it's funny growing up in a house where you watched horror movies and stuff. It wasn't like it was a, you know, we didn't think anything of it. But of course, my dad's like, "Man, I was such a bad parent." No, you weren't. We're good kids. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah,
You're a successful guy, Felix.
I kind of feel that way now because I've done that a few times where it was like, you know, growing up, my parents were super strict with movies, right? Like very strict with movies, and I am absolutely not, to the point where it was like starting out, right? My son was first born. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make sure, you know, I'm gonna be safe. I'm still gonna watch the things I want to watch, but you know, I'm not gonna let him watch anything too bloody or violent or anything. Or like, I'm only gonna be able to play like Mortal Kombat 9 at super late at night, you know, after he goes to bed and all that. And then I think it was Resistance Fall of Man. I was playing it, and there was like a part in that where you see someone dissolve, and all of a sudden I hear a little voice behind me, "Daddy, what happened to that guy?" And I turn around and I'm like, well. And then just as time progressed, I think one of the best videos I ever saw was, and it touches on parenthood so well, was it showed, it's like First Child, and it showed the little Binky, whatever my kids never used them, so I can't remember the name, but a little pacifier. There we go. Pacifier fell on the ground. I'm like, oh my God. And they started like washing it off. They threw it in the dishwasher, all this stuff. And then they're like, oh, you know what? We just got to throw it away. And then we're going to go buy a new one and give them that. Right. And then it's like second kids. You see the pacifier like fall on the ground. There's like crud on it. They just kind of look at it. They brush it off a little bit and they put it back in the baby's mouth. It's like, yeah, that's about the way it goes. So by the time my daughter came around, right, it was Halloween. She was like 3-4 years old. And every Halloween I watched John Carpenter's The Thing without fail. Right. So she was sick one Halloween. So I sat down, she gave her some medicine. She was laying down on me. So I turned on the movie. I'm thinking she's going to go to sleep. Not thinking to myself, my daughter loves animals. In the beginning of The Thing, there's a dog. So she immediately got hooked on the dog, right? And then the dog's head splits open, its skull falls out, it starts spewing goo and wrapping all the other dogs in tendrils, and she starts crying. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm the worst parent ever. Oh, baby girl, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. I know it's a scary movie. And she's just like, I want it to turn back into the dog. So she wasn't even scared of it. Like, it didn't even bother her that it was a horrible, monstrous creature that was doing all these awful things. No, she just wanted it to be the dog again. It's like, okay, I either she is suppressing the fear and horror, and there will be like psychiatry bills later down the line that she's going to ask me to pay for over this, or she's going to be fine.
Yeah, she'll be all right.
So far, she's fine.
Yeah, so far so good.
Child, Mac needs a flamethrower. What? Mac needs a flamethrower. Sorry. Anyway, but no, it's funny because Alice is we worry about Alice. Because like
Does the leprechaun tell her to burn things?
she is the dark one. She's a great little kid, but it's just that's funny because we're like, she's just like, oh, what new horror movie do you have, Pawpaw? But you know, she's 7 now, so it's like, that's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, and it's funny because I just watched. We got halfway through. We got to the point where Bill Murray's character shows up at the dentist for Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, the movie's the best.
Yes.
Have you? I've watched that movie since I was probably like 6 years old or somewhere in there. You know, maybe 10. Not until 6 months ago did I know that the ending to that movie wasn't the real ending, and I went on YouTube and saw the real ending to that movie, and that did something. I want to say psychologically to me. I want to say it broke something in my head to see new footage of Little Shop of Horror that I'd never seen before. It really did do something to me. And you know, I was telling people that I knew about this, and you know, another guy, you know, same situation. I told him, hey man, you got to go out here and see this because it's, you know, this is incredible. And just the realization that there was something there, and there was something else that happened with the game too recently that was just, you know, decades old, and then somebody just discovered something or showed me something, and it just, when you're old like this, and I'm like, it did something to my mind where I just couldn't even process it. And now I understand how when you get older and just there's nothing else coming in. All this is shut off. Eyes, ears. You're not accepting new information. And I'm kind of understanding how that happens to you over time, because those two instances was like, nah, I'm not processing this. This is not going anywhere.
You're crazy.
Yeah, this is not going anywhere.
No, yeah, we were. It's funny though because we were watching it with Edward and stuff. I was like, because I need to get him to open up a little bit because he can watch me play Resident Evil in these horror games, but like when it's in a film, he's like, I'm a little scared.
Yeah.
Even the simplest things, it's like, buddy, it's going to be okay. It's not real.
Yeah.
And
maybe it's the agency in the games. You can do something about the scary thing on the screen, and the movie is just kind of washing over you. So
we got to the point where Audrey 2 just falls over right before it starts talking to him and stuff. And the moment it stuck its head up and just starts talking, he went. I'm like, bud, it's okay. It's a piranha plant. You know, Mario jumps over these and kills these all the time.
That is an extremely convincing effect, though. And I watched that very recently, and that holds up. That whole Audrey 2 puppet or whatever that is, man, that thing holds up.
It's amazing.
It is incredible. That thing holds up, and so I could see how he would get, because that thing looks tangible. That doesn't look like a special effect, you know, like today, like some 3D thing. That thing looks like it's there because it is there. Yeah, and I could see how that would like freak a kid out, because I'm like, hey man, this is doing something that I've never seen before.
But yeah, so we got to that part with Bill Murray and stuff, and he's like, I'm tired, so we put him to bed. He didn't have any nightmares though, so it's like,
you should have made him stay up. He's missing the best part. No, just stand up and watch the best part of this movie, which is the Bill Murray part. How dare you go to sleep? Yeah, get him some caffeine. You get him one of them robot chicken deals and hold his eyelids open. You're not going to go sleep on the best part, kid. You're crazy.
But no, because we'll finish watching it once I'm done here.
Yeah.
But no, it was just funny because I tried to get him to watch Monster Squad, and he got to like the point where Frankenstein showed up. He's a little scared. But it's amazing, like these movies, and I really want to go deeper into this in another episode. But like how the practical effects back then in the 80s and 90s for horror was great, you know, especially if like Jim Henson was involved and Stan Winston and all that. That stuff was great. And, you know, as I was trying to tell Edward, is like, Adju is a puppet. There's mechanisms that are used to make him move, and
Mhm.
it looks real, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's not real.
Mhm.
And but
it is, but it's not.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's there. It's real. It's a real thing, but it's not a real thing. Yeah, that's hard to explain.
But it's funny because like my dad, we used to get these. He would get these Cinefestique magazines. They were like had like different effects for movies, and he had one for Little Shop of Horrors. He had one for The Abyss. I think he had one for the Terminator. I think there was one for Alien. I can't remember. It's like I just remember mainly that one because that one had the black and white stills from the ending of that movie, the original ending, where Audrey 2 eats Seymour and everybody, and then it starts having the babies, and it's like they're singing about them taking over the world. And
yeah, man, that was wild. That was wild, man. That was wild to see. I didn't like it. Now I'm saying I didn't like it one bit. I didn't like that new scene. I want my original. And that's so funny, man, because I watched this clip before I was this afternoon with Dragon Ball Z and the infamous over 9,000 clip. And I was like, wait a minute, what is this? And so I did some research, and the clip that I remember was this thing called the Ocean Dub. I don't know if anybody's in on this.
I don't know, but I have to.
But it was, there's two different dubs of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And the Ocean dub is the one that I grew up with.
Yes, which is the Canadian
video. They redubbed it over
with
subsequentely with the Funimation dub.
Yeah.
I did not know this. So when Vegeta says over 9,000, I'm like, something's wrong with this. This is not right. Why did somebody do something to this? And so I had to go out and I had to find the Ocean dub, which is my version of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And then I was satisfied to hear it. And I was like, it's just another one of those things, man. It's just like, man, it just keeps hitting me. And I'm like, I don't want to accept that this was a thing. And it's hitting this block in my brain. Like, I don't know. I don't want to accept this new information.
Some people will know this, some people won't. But the thing with the Dragon Ball dub was the fact that it went from the beginning, where oh no, it's Raditz, all the way to the point where the Ginyu Force are about to show up.
Yes.
And it would always reset on 39 here or Paramount.
Yes.
In Texas.
Yes.
And I'm sure it was like that all over US. So that's like it was like Andrew has this great story of like him like watching it and getting into it, and then he was like waiting for the episode, and it was, oh no, it's Raditz, and he was like, he did it twice, hoping that it would actually continue, and never did. And it wasn't until high school, high school, that Funimation got the rights to start dubbing the series, but they dubbed it all the way, past the Blue Saga. But what's funny is that so when you bought the VHS tapes, because my dad was going to Suncoast Video at Baybrook Mall, it was ordering these, so we had the whole complete saga of everything on VHS. But what was hilarious was that you had the Funimation side of things when the Ginyu Force show up, and then you had the other side of it where, was the Ocean dub. So what's the scouter say, Vegeta? Sorry, why did I say that, man? I can't even get my freaking dialogue right now. This is what old age does to you. Old age does to you. Anyway,
I'm leaving. I'm out of here, buddy.
Hold on. What does the scouter say, Vegeta? It's over 9,000.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, because that was where I remember, and to expound on what you were saying, it was an event when they did it. You downplayed it a little bit. When they finally went past that point, I remember it distinctly because it was on the Toonami. No, this was a little bit before Toonami. That Toonami block was official. Yeah, but they were still showing the Dragon Ball Z episodes at night. It was an event. Cartoon Network was just like every commercial was like, we have the rest of Dragon Ball Z. You this is it, guys. You've been waiting on it. We did it. We got it. We have the rest of Dragon Ball Z. And I think that's where, that's when Cartoon Network really took off, when they got the rest of Dragon Ball Z. And I remember distinctly watching that first episode after being just, yes, yes, hearing those voices and like, I'm done with this because I could, and this is when I was a teenager in high school. I was like, hey, these aren't my guys. I'm done with it. And I did not come back to it until like the Trunk Saga.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's when I was like, well, I guess, these are the new voices because I didn't like the whatever the Funimation voice actors were. It was just too different. I was like, yeah, this is not my jam. And so I didn't come back to it until well after the Trunk Saga had come out.
So it's funny you bringing all this up because I was actually just watching a video earlier today. I want to say it was Yo Video Games, and they were playing, I forget what game they were playing, but I heard one of them make a comment. They're like, hey, how many of you guys, they were talking to their chat, right? Their chat stream. Like, hey, chat, how many of you used the Dragon Ball cheat back in the day? It's like, what the heck is he talking about? After a little bit, he explained, he's like, yeah, for all the English speaking stuff, it got to that point and it reset. But I guess the Spanish dub continued. And so they're like, all the people who watched it on the Spanish channel, right? They were actually seeing the continuation and the end of things. Where all of us that were watching in English on Cartoon Network or wherever, right? We were caught in that stupid Groundhog Day loop of, all right, Ginyu Force is here. Nope, back to Raditz. And I was like, man, I wonder that the fact that got brought up, I was like, I had never heard that before. Anyone ever comment about how the dubs continued and got beyond that point. I just always assumed that outside of Japan, everybody was stuck in the same rut as us, like just that stupid loop forever. But
I did that hack for everything past after the Android saga. I discovered that hack after the Android saga when they started going into Teen Gohan and Boo and all that stuff. That's when I discovered that if you go over to the Spanish channels, oh no, they had it on
international channel.
They had the international channel, and I don't even remember if it was subtitled. I don't even remember if it was. I think it was just straight Japanese, right? It wasn't even subtitled. So no, I didn't care. I just wanted to see what was going on. And I do remember doing that hack for everything past the boot until again, Cartoon Network was like, hey guys, we got it. And it was a whole event. We have everything past the Android saga. We got it for you. And it was a whole big event again. And that is so funny. Before all information was all at your fingertips, the things that you'd have to do to kind of get around a lot of these roadblocks. That's real funny.
It was funny too, because okay, so keep in mind, I didn't get into Dragon Ball Z right away.
All right, Vince, this podcast is over.
Hold on. No. You gotta understand though, when I got into it though, I wasn't that far removed. I was a couple episodes from when they started airing. But the thing is that my buddy knew at the time, he had the Vietnamese mangas. And I was like, this is really cool. I love this artwork. What is this?
Yeah.
It was because of for me, it was because of Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest that I got into Dragon Ball. So I had another outlet into that versus watching it like regular kids were watching it.
Yeah.
And then so it wasn't until later I was like, oh yeah, great, I can watch this on TV. And then of course I got stuck to the loop too. But my buddy Jose, his family would record it for him in Mexico and then ship it to him. So he'd have episodes. So I was like, oh yeah. So I got to see most of the Boo stuff and the Super Boo when he absorbs Vegito and he's sitting there flipping him off. And I'm like, that's not in the American version. But and that's funny too, is the difference in material that we got versus other places got. But let me let's go into the next topic real quick, and then we can wrap up the episode.
Okay.
So for this last topic, guys, we're going to talk about the new systems, and actually just gaming in general lately for the consoles has been that they have this toggle switch to be able to toggle performance. So you can either go higher frame rate with ray tracing or performance or whatever. And it's why do we have to do this? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it on a PC. But I'll let Adrian go into this because this is the topic you want to talk about, and then we'll go from there.
60 frames per second or close to it, or, you know, bump up the resolution till it's native resolution and more graphical effects, right? And what annoys me about that is like I don't want to have to choose between those things unless I'm playing a PC game and I can go in there and do all the toggles myself. What I would prefer, and I know this is just old man, you know, shaking his fist at a cloud, is like the way it used to be. I put the game in and it looks as good as it can look on the console. That's what I prefer. And a tailored experience, like set a baseline, let's say somebody, Microsoft or Sony, was come out and say, in this generation, the games all have a baseline of 60 frames per second. There's no game that's not going to be 60 frames per second, and get it to look as good as you can with that 60 frames and have that be it, instead of kind of splitting the difference, I guess. And, you know, I guess the argument against it is, you know, give people the choice. But again, then it ends up being, for me, like, and I like Digital Foundry and I like watching it, but every time a game comes out, I go and watch Digital Foundry video on the console so I can see what I'm missing if I choose one or the other. And at this point, almost a year later, I'm like, man, I just wish I could just put it in and play the game.
Yeah, because I mean, was it even like Ratchet and Clank? I think had that as well. The performance versus graphics.
Yeah, and I think the Spider-Man Miles Morales has 3 different toggles. Like you could do performance graphics and then ray tracing with graphics and then ray tracing with performance. And I'm like, man, I just want this thing to look good. I just want to put this in or hit play, and I want them to go in and say, this is the best we can make it look. Play the game. And if I want to go in there and tweak the knobs, let me buy, I'll buy it on PC because most of the games come out on PC. I'll just buy it on PC and then go in there and tweak the knobs.
Yeah, but that's what they're trying to avoid, right? Because it almost feels like the reason why, the reason why it's in there is because they want to compete with the PC market and be like, hey, come buy this and we'll give you this option that you have on PC. It's not nearly as robust, right?
Sure.
But at least it's the facade of the choice, the option, the possibility. But no, I completely agree, right? It's like, no, just optimize what you have, right? Make it look as good and run as well as you can.
Yeah.
And just let me play the game. Yeah, absolutely. But it's, because I'll be honest, there have been a couple games where I've gone in and I've played it for a little bit on one and I've gone back and played it for a little bit on the other. And it might just be because I don't have a really, great TV or anything like that, but I barely even noticed a difference, really. So it almost seems, in most of the games at least that I've played, I've barely noticed a difference. So it's like, I almost feel what's the point at that?
Yeah, and it's like to the point you were making, it's like, well, I just and it's not coming back. Well, it's not going back, and I understand that. And I'm not signing the petition or anything, but I miss, like, man, how does this game look this good on a 360, or how does this game even look this good on a PS3? And thinking about it further, it was like, well, those were probably the last 2 consoles that had custom hardware too. So I'm not a game developer, but it always, when you read like game press and media, oh, they squeezed this little thing and they did this little trick because of this specific hardware. And now this is why this game, Gears of War 3 looks, so incredible. Or what's a PS3 game? Like Metal Gear Solid or something like that. Oh man, this game looks incredible. How does it look this good?
Yeah.
And I guess I missed that kind of things. Like, okay, they just squeeze the juice out of this thing, and here's the product,
And I was
Uncharted, right? Uncharted kept getting brought up like
Uncharted.
Man, this is pushing the limits of the hardware. This is the best this console is ever going to look is this game because of X, Y, and Z.
That's it.
Well, and
it looked incredible.
I think the biggest thing right now that's it really is down to this. It has to do with the fact that we're now at a point with technology in gaming that everything is being released on all consoles.
Mhm.
So everything is being made at the same time. So then they have to figure out how they're going to adapt it for the console. So
Mhm.
sometimes that could be at a detriment before what's going on, what they're trying
Mhm.
to accomplish. Because, like back in the day, what? Oh, come on. If you think about a developer that makes like 3 different versions of a game, instead of just spending all that time and money into one game, you would have had a better product versus something that's, split between the resources. I mean, the resources are
Mhm.
split between, these 3 different versions of this one game. So you could have it on the Wii or the
Mhm.
PlayStation or the 3DS,
Mhm.
You think about
But
like what Square did with Dragon Quest, having the
mhm.
ability to be able to go to the retro style 8-bit, 16-bit version, and then play the game, and then go back to your console and play the normal version, with all the graphics and everything, and swap back and forth.
Mhm. But yeah, and then like uh we used to get like completely different games on different consoles, like
Yes.
the Aladdin game and stuff like that. It'd be completely different on the
Mhm.
Genesis and the Super Nintendo. And again, I know it's not coming back. I know it's not coming back, but I still miss it. I still
Well,
miss
it's
like the
yeah,
custom stuff. Yeah.
it's sad because we're at this point right now. We have the new current gens, PS5 and the
Mhm.
Series X, and you think that they would have worked these kinks out, especially when they're sitting there talking about, all the amazing things that you're going to be able to do with the new Xbox or the new PS5,
Mhm.
and you're still doing the same options that they were doing towards the end of 360
Yeah.
and
Yeah. And like you hear stuff like, hey man, when these newer games come out that are specifically for the new Xbox and the new PlayStation, we might not even get 60 frames a second. And I'm like, man, what are we doing then? Like,
yeah,
why
yeah.
are we?
We're
What was this
regressing.
all
What's
about?
going
Yeah,
on?
what was this all about then? If you're telling me we still don't have enough power to do 60 frames a second, and I never used to be an FPS
Graphics.
snob, but like when I got a capable PC and then some of the games on the PS5 and the Series X, like it's hard to go back down to 30 frames a second. So every time one of those performance options comes up, I usually do the performance mode versus the quality mode. But then again, it doesn't look as good, and I'm like, well, I mean, then now like, well, let me just get this on the PC, and that's a whole other bag of worms. And it's just like, okay, now I got to tweak each and everything. And I spent like 2 weeks with Cyberpunk tweaking all the knobs until I just settled on the fact that the game was no good. And then I was like, all right, well, that solves that problem for me. And then just let it go. It was never going to perform well, basically. And then you just that solves itself. But now I can't go back down. It's hard for me to go back down to 60 frames because now I notice it. I never noticed it before up until this past year. Like the difference between 30 and 6, I was like, yeah, I kind of see it, but it doesn't matter to me. But now it matters a lot, especially now. Play something like the Halo beta or some other those games, and they can do 120. Like, oh, now I can't, now it's time for me to go back down to 60. It's like, oh man, it's crazy. But I mean, that's what we were promised. Like this next, well, it was an ambiguous promise. So it was like, oh, this next gen thing, but again, nobody ever set the baseline of this is the baseline now. We've set the floor on what gaming performance is, and it'll only go up from there. It was just kind of like, well, let's just let them do whatever. And that seems to be a result of competition as well. Like Xbox can't afford to tell the developers, you're going to do this. And oh, well, we'll just stay over with PlayStation. They can't afford to do that. And PlayStation won't do it either. So, everybody just kind of does what they do.
Yeah, and then they've gone with this new market of subscription service for
Mm-hmm.
getting most of their games and stuff. And it's like, well, I mean, it's like an instant cash flow having
Mm-hmm.
people, 100 million people subscribe to Xbox, the
Game Pass.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you got versus like your AAA titles coming out, like the new Halo. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
people are going to buy it because they don't have access to it, but you can't play it online if you don't have access to
Mm-hmm.
the online service. So it's like I don't know. it's great that I don't have to pay for these games when they come out, and I can just download them and play with my friends. So it saves me money in the long run. But when I'm paying what is it, $14.99 a month for their gold.
I mean, I guess it really goes down to how many games you buy a year, right? Because like if you're only getting a couple games a year, then really you're not and how many you play, right? Because if you only play a couple games a year, that Game Pass ain't worth it to you. You might as well have just bought it individually, and you would have saved yourself over the course of the year. But somebody like you, right, who's going to be playing all those games, yeah, it's absolutely worth it. But I mean, it's like it's like what conversations we've had before when it comes to the digital and the physical differences, right?
That's where the other side of the token is.
I was actually talking to a guy today at work. I was like, man, I miss the days where you bought software and then everybody just had the disc and they had the activation key in the booklet, right? And you just pass it around to everybody. Like I had StarCraft on my computer and I got it like third hand from 4 guys over. And we just punched in the activation key. And man, I was off playing StarCraft. It didn't even matter.
Yeah.
And it's like you just, companies, because of crap like that, right? Pirating, whatever. That it's not even that at that point. But because of all that, that's just the what we're at right now with this whole service to play deal. And it's just going to keep pushing further into that. But you would think, kind of like with the Stadia, right? What it was trying to promise. It's supposed to be trying to give PC, right, through a console. You would think that if that's the end goal is a subscription service, that like what you're talking, right, we should at least be able to have the quality of the entire experience through that, because otherwise you're just getting a discount service.
And that's where
even with Microsoft, because the Game Pass works on PC too, right?
Yeah.
So
and so you think about it, what's the best way for a company like Microsoft, who doesn't really like the secondhand market for their games, or the third hand, the buy, sell, trade stuff. So to create a subscription service where, hey, we'll give you this game, so just pay for our stuff. Then you don't have to worry about people like going, oh yeah, I have this game and, I'm going to go trade it in. They don't make any money from that. But then, you think about the cons on that is the fact that, well, I don't actually own the game in general. So if the service goes down completely, I'll never be able to go back and play it. And then on top of that, the same thing for most of these games anyway, because damn well that the Halo, when it comes out in physical, you still have to download a 60, to 100 gig download to be able to play the game. So it's not even on there. So it's like it defeats the purpose of even buying physical for these current gen, unless you're buying for the Switch.
Yeah, that's another thing that's just gone. And all consumer electronics ownership. It's not just games. You see it in software now. With I was listening to a podcast about that. That Microsoft just released the boxed copy of Office, and it's like $129, but they haven't done that. I don't know if they've done that in a while, or that's been a subscription service for years now. So
long now.
It's it's like I said, it's not even with video games anymore. All consumer, you buy what did I buy very recently? Like most things you don't own anymore. I think that right to repair thing has been in the news, and they've been taking that to Congress and things like that. With guys owning a John Deere tractor, buying the John Deere tractors, not really owning them because they can't open it up and repair it and things like that, or they get sued by John Deere. You just renting it out at that point. You can use it, but as soon as you try to go to repair anything, you have to go to them. You can't even open the thing up. And so it's been a real big push to remove ownership of consumer electronics from people. And if anything, like I would say that tractor situation needs to get sorted out before video games. But I think if everybody gets together that uses this stuff and says, hey, this is all the same thing, and we all need to be on the same track and push back against it, we might get a little traction on that, because it's easy to just dismiss entertainment things as, you guys, it's just a movie, it's just a video game. But let's get together with these farmers they're like, hey man, I need to be able to repair this stuff. And these guys are saying, I don't really own this, $100,000 tractor that I bought. That's ridiculous. I mean, we need to get on board with that. Maybe we can get some traction with that stuff.
Well, yeah,
right.
That's been a big thing in the news.
It's not like the machinery of a tractor is proprietary, right? It's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's the same basic, premise of the hardware that's existed since,
yes,
they've had motorized tractors. So it's like,
yes,
what's so special about it? It's like,
yes.
cars becoming more there was years ago, I took my car in for repair, and I was sitting around because I didn't have anywhere else to go at the time. So I was just sitting around shooting the shit with the repair guy. And he
Mhm.
was sitting there talking to me about how he was about to have to go and get a degree in, computer engineering, just to be able to keep up with, the maintenance cars. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
more and more, you're just like, all right, just take it to the dealership. They're the ones that handle it. They do all that stuff. And I mean, on the one hand, it's awesome for the convenience, right? Of just having it all in one place, not having to worry about, some guy coming up with the fact that, there's some magical animal running around in my, some compartment of my motor that I didn't even know existed, and punching
yeah,
holes in it. And it's going to
yeah,
cost me $800 to fix. And at the end of the day, I probably just got shafted, right? So
yeah.
like, you're missing out on that. But at the same time, like, you go to the other extreme, and if you can't even have some dude who knows how to repair it do it himself, then
Yeah.
you're kind of losing overall in the end.
Yeah. And I know we're getting off track, but there used to be manuals for cars. You could go into a shop and you could buy not just a manual, it was like a whole schematic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The entire, I forget what it was called. It was so nationwide. It was the entire schematic for a car if you wanted to repair every single piece of it. Can't find that anymore. That's all gone. And it was just like, hey man, you do this at your own risk. That was the only thing. You can do it, but if you break it, that's on you. And that's fine. Like, people should be able to take that risk instead of that being taken away from them. Because, and people, they're loving, it seems like a lot of these, and just like what you said, which was a great point, like, it's 4 wheels and some axles. We've been doing this for hundreds of years. But what you want to go do is go put some proprietary software in there and say, oh, it can't be operated without it. Like, that's ridiculous. We know you can
can't
do it
change your
without
tire without a key.
Yeah, without this special proprietary thing that we've attached to this thing that humans have been doing for 100,000 1,000 years, something like that. And that's ridiculous. And it's not giving people any more like performance or utility out of these things. And at least with the bringing it back to video games, at least with the video games, you can say, okay, a download is more convenient than a disc, especially, I mean, for me, I just have the whole library there. I don't have, again, all you have to do is get up and change the disc. Okay, that's fine. But I don't want to change the disc. I want to I just want to just
I want to be lazy. I want to go and
more than that, right? For any of us that got little kids, how many times I have tried to convince my family of proper disc, handling.
Yeah.
And it just I keep wanting to move like my movie collection to some kind of virtual cloud, because like I'll come back and be like, hey, who wants to watch the Peanuts movie or something? Go plug it in, and then 3/4 of the way through, it skips, and I go over and I look, and there's this gash right through it. I'm like, when the hell did this happen? And they're like, well, the little one put it back and it got shuffled around, and then we realized it, we fixed it. It's like, no, you didn't fix it, you broke it. Crap.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right, now you got to go do lawn for like 4 weeks, and we'll be having to go buy a new one.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, that's the. It's funny because having Edward have a Switch and have that being his main gaming console has been great because it still has a cartridge, but. Just recently, something got messed up with the cartridge slot. I haven't had a chance to take a look at it, but it's one of those things. It's like, of course, if I open it up, it validates the warranty, because if it's something I can't fix, being an IT guy, I'm going to have to contact Nintendo. They're going to go, oh, well, you open it, you voided your warranty. Oh, okay, well, whatever. And
it's not like they're going to sell you the parts to fix it anyway. You'd have to go to some third-party site or something like that. To fix it. And I'm like, well, I mean, you could still make, I don't know, I know we're getting far off the thing, but these places could still make money and they just want to make money in every possible direction and kind of wall you in and funnel you towards them. And it's just like, do you have to make money in every possible direction? I'm not an anti-capitalist at all, but I'm like, do you have to make money in every possible direction? Like, sell the part and sell the service, right? If somebody doesn't want to fix it themselves, hey, let them send it in. When somebody does say, hey man, you're on your own if you want to fix it yourself, we'll sell you the part. That's fine. You know, I don't see a problem with that. If you want to say, okay, you can fix it yourself, that may void the warranty. All right, that's not the best, but okay. But we'll sell you the part if you want to fix it yourself. Just know you're going to void the warranty. All right, that's fine. So now I don't have to go to some shady site on eBay and hope that I get this part from wherever. I can get the official part from Nintendo. They'll say, hey, you crack this open, you know, that's on you. And even give me the instructions on how to repair it myself. We'll give you the instructions. Yeah, go for it. But that's on you if something happens to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's fine. I mean, that's fine. That would be the middle ground for me. But listen, again, I'm shaking my fist at that cloud. It's never going to happen.
Well, that's the problem right there, is the cloud.
Yeah, that's it. That's the cloud. The cloud is the problem.
But well, I was gonna say too is, like, you know, you think about that was one of my things right now, is the fact that you can still buy old consoles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't Nintendo just go, hey, we're going to start making old games again? It's one of those things they could do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like those chips are hard to manufacture now as they were back then.
Sure.
And, you know, you just find that market. People will buy it. People are in nostalgia mode right now to be able to completely, like, jump on something like that.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, from their perspective, right, it's like, okay, we create the NES, you know, Classic and the SNES Classic, and we make X amount of money of it by selling so many units, right?
Yeah.
But if we go do Nintendo Online and we put, you know, a handful of games from the NES and SNES, and we sell the little classic controllers, not only are we making pretty close to probably the same amount of money off just the controllers, but now we got people hooked in, you know, we got that IV drip coming from them, right? Of that subscription. And I'll be honest, that Nintendo Direct that came out, you know, just recently, the biggest thing for me was when I saw, I was like, holy crap, I can get an N64 controller and use it on my Switch.
Yeah, that was
the
good.
weirdest controller that Nintendo's ever designed, and I can go back and play Smash like I used to back in the day. I'm on board, but at the same time, it's like, how much more is that new online version of Nintendo?
Which they haven't announced yet. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, we already have an online service, so we're not releasing games in a steady pace with a good quality of games. Because that's one of the biggest things you hear. Is like, oh, great, we got some obscure games we don't care about released from Nintendo Online. Yay, woohoo! Where's Chrono Trigger? Where's Earthbound? Where's these games that we want to play?
Hey, they've got Earthbound. They've got Earthbound on there. Not Trigger, but they've got Earthbound.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, well, where's Final Fantasy? You know, Final Fantasy 3.
I'd have to go check. I think 3 might be on there, but. I mean, yeah, but I mean that's the whole issue of, you know, ownership and people giving rights and all that stuff, and that whole issue that comes from it. But you know, it's, I mean, going back to the whole issue with the button and the graphics and the performance and all that, right? It really is just them trying every little thing to make sure that they can squeeze, like what you said, like every last little dollar out of everybody, right? Because again, the only reason why those buttons exist is because somebody saw a friend one time play it on the PC, and they saw that thing and they're like, oh yeah, man, you can set it up to where the performance will be better and the graphics might not be as good, or the graphics will be like, all of a sudden it's like, oh man, you can modify that on the PC. Maybe I should start buying it for the PC. Oh, wait, guys, don't go to the PC. Hey, look, we got these two little arbitrary buttons that you can click on that kind of changes the performance a little bit. And just go with that.
You know another console did that before? The PS2. With the smooth graphics and in the faster loading times. The one thing I did forget to say of game I'm playing right now is I picked up Diablo 2 Resurrection. I'm enjoying the hell out of that.
Okay.
Because I never finished Diablo 2. I've finished 1 and 3, and then now that 2's out, I've been playing that heavily on the Xbox I was playing with my buddy Jeff, and we've just been busy this week, and I've been playing solo. But I just hit like level 29 with a Paladin, because that's what I played back in the day. So we'll see how it goes.
The only thing that I honestly remember about Diablo 2, because I never played it, but I always heard everybody talk about it, and really, but I think it's in both Diablo games, is the Archangel Staff of the Apocalypse. Is really all I remember. Which
Archangel Staff of the Apocalypse.
The Archangel, and the way everyone always described it was, it basically allows you to do that final spell. What is it? Luminous by Chrono and Chrono Trigger. You just like slam it into the ground, creates this giant ball of, form of energy around you, and you can kill Diablo in like 2 or 3 hits with it. It's like, all right then, that sounds cool. And then I've never seen it in action. I should just go watch a video on it. But yeah, I need to pick it up just so I can play through it and say I've played Diablo 2 now after all these years.
Do you have,
after the fact.
Do you have an Xbox the series? Not the series, but the Xbox One?
No.
Okay. It'd be great if it's crossplay. I got to look and see if it is, but because then we can play together. But it does connect to their battle nets.
They don't have crossplay for the BattleNet stuff.
They may. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. Hey, tell us.
Sony might not be a part
tell
of
us
it.
Tell us in the comments below if it has crossplay with multi-console.
Yeah, I understand that should be everywhere, man.
That
should be,
that's opportunity for everything. Every game that comes out should have crossplay across the board. I should be able to play on my PlayStation or Xbox with my friends that are only on the Xbox or only on the PlayStation or the PC. Whatever they have, we can play together. But
yeah, the Battlefield beta, even the beta already has the crossplay enabled, and they don't even give you a choice to disable it. So they're throwing you in the mix with PC guys, and I'm getting worked over. But I prefer it to be there than not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Tell us what your thoughts about October and what you've been playing, and what are your thoughts on the whole performance toggling? Is it something that you don't care about, or something you are looking forward to with certain games coming out? Let us know. Until then, have a good one, guys.